We're going to be going over all the class and loadout options for the Insurgents in this video. Keep in mind this is beta 1, so as the game gets further developed, there are chances that things will be added, changed, and or removed. Most likely though, things are going to be added, especially with beta 2 launch and post-release. More content's going to be added to the game. And also a heads up, for the next couple days or so until the release, there will be a sale on Humble Bundle where you can pick up Insurgency Sandstorm for 10% off. So make sure you check that out. If you haven't gotten Insurgency Sandstorm yet, and you haven't pre-ordered yet, make sure you check out the description and comments. There's a link where you can get Insurgency Sandstorm for 10% off on Humble Bundle while supporting the channel and the charity at the same time. So now that we got that out of the way, let's jump straight into it. So, the commander role. The commander gets to call in air support and off-map assets for the insurgents, and these assets differ from the security forces. The insurgents get chemical mortars, smoke mortars, high explosive mortars. They also get IED drones and bombing drones. So a lot of stuff here that's like really improvised, really fun to use. Chemical mortars are definitely interesting with the addition of the gas mask. You have to use the gas mask to get through the chemical mortars. And then you also have the IEDs that come on the drones and the bombing runs from the drones. Definitely very innovative and very fun to use as the commander for the insurgents. The observer is essentially a rifleman, but he has a radio and he can work with the commander. The commander needs the radio in order to call in these off-map fire support. The rifleman, once again, just a general purpose rifleman. You have a breacher focused on CQB, so he's focused on shotguns and SMGs. The gunner, which is focused on, an HMG or an MMG. And your demolitions focused on explosives. And advisor has unique weapons, so standard rifleman, but with more exotic weapons. And then a marksman, once again, focused on that long distance engagements. They have access to longer scopes and the snipers. So we're going to jump straight in with the commander and talk about the basic infantry weapons for the insurgents. So, for the insurgents, you get access to an SKS, AKM, M16A2, AK-74, and AKS. So, a lot of things here you see on the insurgent side, the security forces do get as well. But you don't really get access to M4A1s or things like that. The G36, you don't get access to that as the insurgent. So, we got an SKS, which is a pretty good contender for a strong single-fire weapon. This is definitely the cheapest of them all with a 2 supply count cost. And you can fit a unique insurgent-only optic on it, which is this 1.5 times optic, which is the PKAS. It's definitely a really funky optic, but it's a cheap 1.5. It's only 1 supply cost, so really interesting that insurgents get to use this. They get a slight optic advantage in the 1 supply cost tier range. They do have a limited option as far as your 2 times and 4 times. You can slot an ACOG on here, and you can slot a 2 times Cobra. You do get access to the OKP site, which is a really fun site to use. I think this is one of my favorite sites, just because of how big that optic range is. You actually have a large field of view. On the SKS, you can slot tracer rounds on here. I hope we do see the AP and HP ammo additions from Insurgency, the first Insurgency, make their way into Insurgency Sandstorm, simply because a lot of people run heavy armor. I'm pretty sure everyone is running heavy armor these days right now in the beta, and it's really extended the time to kill. So AP armor would be great to get through that and lessen that time to kill again. But until then, tracer rounds, all you got. Doesn't really do anything but make your tracers, or make your rounds light up. You can slot an extended mag, which extends the magazine on the SKS from 20 to 30, so definitely very useful. And then for your barrel attachments, see, these are the 4 basic barrel attachments. You got your flash hider, which you can't see the flash when you use this. It's in the name, pretty self-explanatory. You have a long barrel, which extends the effective range of your weapon. You have a compensator, which decreases the recoil, and you have a suppressor, which makes it quieter. So definitely your 4 standard barrel attachments. Some classes will have all of them, some classes won't, and we'll get through that as we go through. Side rail, you do get a laser sight, so if you do plan on hip firing, laser sight is very helpful. And then finally, for the undergrip, you do have a foregrip, or underbarrel, you have a foregrip, which decreases recoil even further. So, if you want to really decrease your recoil, you slap a foregrip and a comp on it, and bam, you got like almost no recoil anymore. Akm Solid Rifles 7.62, kicks a lot, but does a crap ton of damage. Definitely a loud, fun gun to use. You do get access to the 1.5 optic on here as well. Same optics as the SKS, same attachments as the SKS. M16 is a little different. You cannot put any 1 times, 2 times, or 1.5 times optics on this weapon, simply because there's no rail system to do so. You can fit an A2 scope on it, or an M150. So you can fit an ACOG or the 3 times. So this is if you want to go for a little bit longer range engagements with a 3-round burst. Remember, the M16A2 does not have full auto. You're stuck with single and burst. So you're limited on the optics. Definitely a fun gun to use if you're looking for something a little more US focused. So, you know, I enjoy, for example, in squad, I enjoy using the M4 or the M16s when I play militia. But so yeah, I enjoy using this weapon on insurgents as well, just because I like the look of the M16. AK-74, you know, your standard battle rifle. Great stuff. Pretty standard, same amount of attachments for the AK-74. You can slap another extended magazine on here for a 5-round increase in your mag capacity. AKS, definitely one of the best CQB weapons right now, just because of how low of a recoil and how easy it is to control. You can put a lot of rounds down range in CQB environments. So definitely really cool. You do not get a long barrel attachment or a suppressor on this kit, though. You only have the flash hider and comp, and then you are limited once again to your optics. You have no 2 times. You can jump straight from 1 times, 1.5 straight to a 4, or you can stick with those. But yeah. So let's also talk about the secondaries. Secondaries are pretty much universal across the team. You have your Makarov, Browning HP, your 1911, and your M9. Makarov is free, which is nice, so always pick it up because it's great to have a secondary, especially when you need to reload in a pinch and someone comes around the corner. You just whip out that secondary, especially with the special pistol upgrade, which is the quick draw holster. Lets you draw that weapon out faster, and it can save your life a ton of times. So I usually run this if I'm running a pistol just because it's so efficient. Explosive. So for the standard explosives for the insurgents, you do have access to smokes, frags, and molotovs. Molotovs are the unique one for the insurgents, you know, creating fire in the ground, great for area denial, and you can also destroy caches with it. So really fun to use. You do get binoculars as the command to call in those assets, and then you have your standard heavy carrier and light carrier. You know, the bigger one, obviously, you're able to hold more explosives and more ammunition. Smaller one is less, and then heavy and light armor, you know. Everyone's running heavy armor. There's no reason not to right now. It's just so good. So definitely run heavy armor if you can. It definitely keeps you alive for longer. So that's the commander class. We'll roll over to the standard observer. The observer is pretty much the same as we go through here. As you can see, you get your 74, M16, AKM, and SKS, and they all have the same attachments as the commander. Nothing too special here. Your Rifleman is the same thing, except you get access to a G3 and Mosin Nagant. So, Riflemen get access to 2 of the very good weapons, or excuse me, 2 of the very unique weapons in Insurgency. The G3 is one of the best weapons in the game right now. It's got high damage with its 7.62. It's got single fire and full auto for a 2 supply cost. The only downside is that it's locked at 20 rounds. You cannot extend the magazine of a G3. But it is one of the most satisfying guns to use because it can do so much damage, it's easy to control, and it's really effective. So if you're looking for an effective gun to use, pick up the G3, try it out. It's definitely one of the better guns in the game right now. Mosin Nagant, kind of a fun gun to use in the Rifleman class. It is bolt action. You only have 5-round capacity, so you are really handicapping yourself, you know, compared to these other weapons you have at your disposal. But definitely a fun gun to use, especially if you are looking for a challenge. You can, however, slap a 4 times on here. You can slap an ACOG on here and pretend to do some marksman shooting as a Rifleman. So, surprisingly enough, you actually have a lot of long-range firepower as the insurgents. Moving on to the Breacher, this is some of the more unique weapons. You have the TAWS 19.4 here. So you have flechette and slug rounds, which are unique to the TAWS. This is the only shotguns that insurgents get. You are locked to a single 1x Cobra, but you have the flechette and slug rounds. So the flechette rounds are essentially like really good against flesh targets. So if you hit any soldier anywhere they're not wearing body armor, legs, hands, and, you know, of course, the head, it'll shred them. Flechette is deadly, and you have a lot of range, surprisingly, with the shotguns. So definitely, I picked flechette over slug. I have never really needed to use slug. The reach on this shotgun is so good, even with flechette. You can stick a suppressor on here if you want to be goofy. Definitely a fun addition to the shotgun. It makes it look a little bit cooler, I think. But yeah, definitely silly. Foregrip is definitely obviously needed because you're going to be hip firing with a shotty. And then you can put a foregrip on there as well if you want to decrease your recoil. Now, the Uzi is really cool. Unfortunately, the Uzi for the Breacher on the Insurgent side does not get access to the drum magazine like the security side. But you do still get access to the extended mag. So you up that from 25 rounds to 32 in your mag. You are, of course, given some of the standard scopes again, nothing too special, and standard barrel side rail, and underbarrel attachments. The AKS, like I said before, one of the better CQB weapons. As the breacher, you get access to it as well, so definitely check it out if you're looking to be efficient. Just like I think the G3 and the AKS are definitely some of the best guns in the game right now, of course, aside from the AKM and the M4A1. Moving on to the gunner, this is your LMG. Yeah, moving on to your gunner, this is your LMG. We got the PKM only for the Insurgents. So as you notice, the current theme is the security forces kind of get both the sides weapons. They get security and insurgent weapons, whereas the Insurgents only get the cheap stuff. So they got the PKM, which is nothing to laugh at. It is chambered in 7.62. It packs a huge punch, does a ton of damage, and is actually my preferred MMG over the SAW. So definitely fun to use. You can have all the standard attachments on here as well. So PKM, definitely a monster of a weapon. Monster. Demolitions. So Demolitions actually get a very limited choice of weaponry here, as you can see, for their primaries. However, where Demolitions really does shine is in their explosives. Now, as you can see, Demolitions get access to mines, which are AP and AT, AT mines. They are not AP mines. So these are good for disabling enemy technicals as they come at you. So good for defensive scenarios, as mines always are. You have an IED, which is great for huge explosions. Definitely a fun thing to use. You can use them to blow up caches on co-op versus AI and in multiplayer, I think. I don't know if there's actually caches in multiplayer yet. But yeah. And then you have access to 2 launchers. The unique launcher for the Insurgents is the Panzerfaust. I can select this. Why can't I select this? It's because here. The Panzerfaust, which does have the optic. So like the security forces, you get access to a launcher that doesn't have an optic, which is the RPG, and one that does, which is the Panzerfaust 3. Right? So you have that ranged launcher, if you so choose, to shoot down helicopters, and then that standard RPG, which is pretty good for almost everything. So yeah, Demolition's definitely a fun class to use. The Advisor. Now, the Advisor gets 2 weapons that are special in the Insurgent class. So you get the FAL and the SVD. Once again, you notice that the Security Forces Advisor gets a ton more weapons. I'm hoping that New World adds more weapons to the Insurgent side that are unique to the Insurgent side. Because right now, everyone wants to play Security because you get access to a lot more weapons as Security. Right? So you do get access to the PSO as the Advisor for the Insurgents, which is cool because it's on the SVD, obviously, and then your standard accompaniment of attachments. And then you have the FAL, which is a very good weapon as well. Pretty much the competitor to the G3. SKS is probably 3rd when it comes to that kind of class of weapon, but definitely the FAL is an awesome gun to use as well. Probably one of the better guns on the Insurgent side. And then finally, of course, we have the Marksman. Right now, what the Marksman has is 2 weapons, the SVD and the Mosin. But what you can do is you can put stripper clips on the Mosin, and you can put a 7x hunting rifle scope on the Mosin, as well as on the SVD. So you do have access to 2 7x scopes as the Marksman, as the Insurgent. You don't get access to the M3 Ultra that the security forces have, but you do still have, you can still compete with them with the 7x. And then you can put a bipod on your Mosin as well, which is actually pretty insane. It makes it look so much cooler. SVD, of course, you can also put a bipod on here for the Insurgent Marksman. And you can also do, like, you can kit this thing out pretty hardcore if you wanted to. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's all the assets for the Insurgents. And of course, you have your knife. I think I went over that, but just covering that in case I didn't. But yeah, that's pretty much all the assets for both teams. I've done both videos now. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of this video. Went over it pretty fast because there's a lot of information and I didn't want to make the video go on for like 30 minutes. Let me know if you want to see more of these videos where kind of go over information or talk about, you know, kind of not necessarily guide, informational videos. So I want to get more into that just because I do gameplay all the time. So let me know down in the comments what you think. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure you hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. Hit that bell button again. Helps me out a lot. And I'll see you all in the next video. Check out my website at karmakut.com to see system specs, donation links, and latest uploads all in one place. You can also get cool rewards like Karmakut patches and key tags on my Patreon. And don't forget to hit that subscribe and bell button for future uploads.